I never thought I'd be the kind of person to have an affair. You always hear about it in stories, whispered over coffee or gossiped about after school pickups, affairs that spark from boredom or resentment, or from the need to feel something again. But I always believed that was something other people did. People who had given up, people who were reckless. Not someone like me. Not someone who spent her days folding laundry, organizing birthday parties, and planning family dinners. It started out so small, like a tiny crack in a window that you barely notice. My life had fallen into this predictable routine. I was a mother first, a wife second, and somewhere at the bottom of that list, I was still me, or at least, I used to be. And somewhere in between the endless responsibilities and my husband's growing absences, late nights at work, forgotten anniversaries, I realized I felt invisible. Like I was drifting through my own life, doing everything for everyone else and leaving nothing for myself. Joining the gym was supposed to be a way to change that, to take care of myself again, to have something that was just for me. I told myself it was about getting back in shape, reclaiming the body I'd lost after having kids, but deep down, it was more than that. I needed to feel alive again. I went a few times a week, squeezing it into my schedule between drop-offs and grocery runs. At first, it was just a place to sweat out the stress, to focus on something physical for an hour. But then I met Ryan, the personal trainer who worked there. He was friendly, always smiling, always checking in with people, and I barely noticed him at first. But one day, as I struggled with the settings on one of the machines, he came over to help. He had that easy charm, the kind that makes you feel seen even when you're trying to stay invisible. He adjusted the machine, showing me how to use it properly, and there was something about the way he looked at me. Like I wasn't just another client passing through the gym, like he was really seeing me. It was a feeling I hadn't had in a long time. I thanked him, we exchanged a few words, and I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. He started saying hello whenever I came in, and soon we were having brief conversations after my workouts. He was always encouraging, telling me I was making progress, that I looked stronger. It was innocent enough, but it made me feel good. Better than I had in a while. My husband, Rob, had become so distant, wrapped up in his work, our conversations at home becoming less frequent and more transactional. Did you pick up the dry cleaning? What time are you getting the kids? With Ryan, I felt like someone else. Not just a mom or a wife, but a woman. I started looking forward to those moments with him, feeling a spark that had been missing from my life for so long. I know how it sounds, like the start of every cliché story about affairs, but it didn't feel like that. It felt new, like a door I didn't even realize was there had been opened. Eventually, I signed up for personal training sessions with him. It seemed like a natural step. I was serious about getting fit, and Ryan was the perfect coach. At least, that's what I told myself. But deep down, I knew that it wasn't just about fitness anymore. There was something more between us, this unspoken tension that buzzed in the air whenever we were alone. During those sessions, Ryan was attentive, professional, but his touch lingered a little too long when he corrected my posture. His compliments, while always about my progress, felt more personal. I would catch him watching me when I wasn't looking, and instead of feeling uncomfortable, I found myself enjoying the attention. It was like being seen in a way I hadn't been in years. One evening, after a particularly hard session, I sat on the bench, out of breath, feeling the burn in my muscles. Ryan came over, standing a little closer than usual. We started talking, small talk, the kind of casual conversation that normally wouldn't mean anything. But there was something different about that night. The gym was quieter, almost empty, and the air felt thick between us. As we talked, I could feel his eyes on me, lingering longer than they should have. There was a moment, a pause in our conversation, that changed everything. It was like time slowed down, and I knew what was about to happen before it did. He leaned in, his face inches from mine, and I didn't move. I should have. I should have said something, stopped it before it went any further. But I didn't. I couldn't. I wanted this, wanted to feel desired again, wanted to feel something that wasn't the endless loop of domestic life. His lips brushed mine, soft at first, tentative, as if he was waiting for me to pull away. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in, letting the kiss deepen. In that moment, everything I had been missing, everything I had buried inside myself, came rushing out. The kiss wasn't just about attraction, it was about years of neglect, of loneliness, of feeling like I didn't exist anymore outside of my roles as a mother and a wife. His hands found my waist, pulling me closer, and I responded without thinking. The kiss was electric, full of all the unspoken words, the longings I had been denying. It was wrong, I knew that, but it didn't feel wrong in the moment. It felt like I had woken up from a long sleep, like I had been starving and finally found something to satisfy me. I hadn't realized how much I craved that feeling, how much I had lost myself in the day-to-day routines of life. When the kiss ended, reality crashed down on me like a wave. My heart pounded in my chest, and guilt washed over me almost immediately. I was married. I had kids. What had I just done? I pulled away, mumbling something about needing to go. Ryan didn't stop me, he just nodded, a knowing look in his eyes, like he understood what I was feeling. I grabbed my bag, left the gym in a daze, my mind spinning with what had just happened. I told myself it was a mistake, that it wouldn't happen again. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. The kiss had opened something inside me, something I couldn't easily close. I had felt more alive in that moment than I had in years, and no matter how much I tried to push it away, the desire for more lingered. I couldn't stop thinking about him, replaying the kiss in my mind, the way he made me feel. Over the next few days, I avoided the gym, telling myself that if I stayed away, the feelings would fade, and I could go back to my life as it was. But I knew better. The pull was too strong, the connection too real. And the longer I stayed away, the more I realized that I didn't want to forget it. I didn't want to go back to the life I had been living, where I felt invisible and unwanted. Ryan had made me feel alive again, like I mattered. And so, I reached out to him. Just a text at first, innocent on the surface, but we both knew what it meant. I suggested we meet for coffee, away from the gym, away from the prying eyes of people who knew us. I told myself it was just to clear the air, to talk about what happened, but I knew it was more than that. I needed to see him again. When we met at a small cafe a few towns over, the air between us was thick with unspoken words. We talked, yes, but the conversation felt like a formality. The real reason we were there was simmering just below the surface, waiting to erupt. After coffee, we walked for a bit, talking about nothing and everything, but the tension between us was undeniable. As we neared the end of our walk, we stopped by the riverbank, the quiet water reflecting the fading light of the day. The moment felt surreal, like something out of a movie, but it was real, and I knew what was coming next. He turned to face me, his eyes searching mine, and without a word, he leaned in. This time, there was no hesitation. Our lips met again, and the kiss was more urgent, more intense than before. There was no gym, no distraction, just us, standing together, wrapped in the rush of everything we'd been holding back. I kissed him like I had wanted to from the moment we met, with all the pent-up frustration, the desire, the need for connection that had been missing for so long. His hands slid around my waist, pulling me closer, and I didn't pull away. I didn't want to. In that moment, the world fell away, and all that mattered was the way he made me feel. Alive. Seen. Wanted. The affair had begun.